Today's video, we are going to talk about the ideal number of Facebook ads for maximum profit from your Facebook ad campaign that you're trying to run for your business. There's an ideal amount of ads because if you don't know already, I should say, there's a certain amount of attrition of ads. They've run their course. The audience that you know is right to buy your product or service has seen that ad, and then with that, the more times they see it, the more kind of immune to it they get. It's not going to get their attention quite so easily. Yes, they're going to take it a little bit more seriously having seen it more than once, but for the most part, following up an audience with more than one ad is going to work better than having one ad that's going to get shown to that same audience over and over again. I'm going to go into detail exactly why that is and what's the ideal setup. So if you actually have a profitable audience that you know you can get in front of for a product or service, how to extract the maximum value out of that audience, okay? So, and if you stay to the end of the video, I'll give you actual case studies where we actually took a basic ad setup, that is 1 or 2 ads, switched it to 7 to 10 ads, made a lot more money, and specifically how much more we made. So I'm Corey Ziman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for our clients. That is more profitability from your ads before there's a management fee. The results we provide offset the management fee. We are the only agency on the planet that offers any kind of guarantee such as this, which should tell you something about the quality of the information you're also getting on this particular video. So with that said, I will go into a quick background as to why more ads versus less ads is actually going to be the way to go with Facebook if you don't already know it, but also specifically why. What's the psychology involved with it? To be a good advertiser, you got to be able to be good at math and measuring stuff, but you also have to understand what gets people to move and do things and tapping into human psychological principles that get people to take notice, first of all, and then ultimately want to jump and do something. It's half of one and half of the other. Just measuring something isn't going to work, but if you only know how to do well with ads but don't know how to measure anything, you probably aren't going to make near what you need to make. With that said, the power of sevens in marketing says you will make more money on the 7th showing of an ad to an audience. Which, go ahead and if you want to stop the video, you can go ahead and Google power of sevens in marketing. I talk about this all the time on the channel because it's one of the core tenets of marketing and advertising that you got to know in order to get rich doing it for your business. That is, the typical person thinks, oh, if I got $1 million a year to spend on advertising, I should spend it getting in front of the most people possible, which is wrong, by the way. This is what by default people think. You will actually make more money advertising to fewer people more times than more people but only once. Part of that, by the way, comes from are not having to stretch as far to find more people to market to. If you market to 1/7 the amount of people with that marketing budget, you can actually focus on the people that's the most likely to buy. That's the one reason, I should say, why it makes more money to do that. The other reason is the psychological principle of sevens in marketing and advertising says the first time you see something, you don't really, from a company, take it seriously right away. Unless you got a relationship with that company already. Or, and sometimes it can also be said about, a company that you already know of and with a new offer and needing to see it multiple times to take that offer seriously. What you do, like for instance, with people who do direct mail advertising, sending stuff out in the snail mail, they all kind of basically know what I'm telling you. That is, you can't just mail something to somebody once and then really make the best of it. You got to send subsequent pieces out to the same people to really make it work. Because the first time you get that thing, you're probably just going to toss it in the garbage can. The second time you get it, you're like, whoa, maybe I should read it this time. Offline marketers know this. And to be a good offline marketer and get it to work, you actually have to know something about advertising for the most part. People that do online advertising, they just don't think that applies to them. The psychology is the same. If you spend XYZ dollars getting somebody to your site that you know is going to be likely to buy, and you don't follow them up with a remarketing approach or strategy, you're throwing away half the value from that audience that you figured out that will be profitable. for the reasons that I already just described, okay? That said, okay, people kind of get this twisted. I want to clarify that with that, you'll make, with what I said, you'll make more money advertising to fewer people more times than more people only once. This is actually true if you're using different creative each time. To give you a really good example of what I'm talking about here is in the bill collection industry. What do they do to collect money? Because if you owe a company something and you're past 90 days, they sell that debt out to a collection agency because the likelihood that they're going to collect is not good, and they're not set up to do hardcore collection efforts. They specialize, they off-let it to a specialist who knows something about collecting debts from people that are hard to get the money from, that actually have tested their strategies, have a process for doing that exact thing and actually specializing in it. What they do more than anything else, the number one strategy they have is sending stuff out in the mail to people, okay? And, of course they call them and whatnot, but they're still the best strategy to this day, and it's been that way since basically the beginning. They send you a letter in the mail saying you owe XYZ. Then, that doesn't get you to respond. Then you send another letter in the mail that says, this is your, you did not respond to the first letter. This is very important. You need to respond to us. Otherwise, there could be dire consequences for not responding. Then if they don't respond to that one, they send out another final notice. You must respond to this or this. But they don't just go straight to, this is the one and only notice you're going to get, respond to us. Because if it did, that's all they would do. All the debt collection agencies, the 3-letter series to get the most out of the people that they bought the debt that owes them, because they're so confident in their strategies that they buy the debt from companies at pennies on the dollar, and then they're able to use this strategy to collect and get more out of the debt than what they buy it for. And they really got to know what they're doing, and they got to be able to do something that the company that they're buying from doesn't know how to do. You got to understand user psychology to extract more out of that debt than the company that they're buying it from has. So that structured approach works extremely well, and it's been working. So basically, you take it more seriously once you've seen it 3 times than you've seen it once, okay? But one thing to point out, the reason why I tell this story here is because each approach that they have, part of what gets it to work so damn well and has worked over decades is that they don't actually have the same approach each time. They don't send out a thing that says you owe, and then it's the exact same thing the second and the third time, because that doesn't work the best. And if it did, that's what they would damn well do. You could actually go ahead and you could Google this and see what, this is the main strategy they've been using for years. Each subsequent piece actually builds upon the previous piece. And they're able to have a funnel, if you will, or if you want to call it that. And very few people, online marketers, do anything like that, where they have an ad show up and then they have another ad that builds upon the previous ad. They may have a video ad that gets somebody acquainted with a service or product, and then an ad later on that's supposed to show up after it that gets the person, now that they're familiar with that product or service and what it does, hey, we have a special on it for this weekend. Do you want to buy it? Yes or no? Which is a pretty effective funnel. But they don't actually take it to the next level and say, you saw the video that shows how much results this particular product gets. You've only seen part of what you should be able, that you need to see with this. This also da-da-da-da. They would actually do themselves a huge favor by doing that kind of thing and actually referencing the previous ads that they saw before, instead of just randomly showing up a second time, randomly showing up a third time. That said, you'll still do really well just by having a different, for the most part on Facebook ads, you can't even make money with a one-step approach. It's extremely hard to do that. You got to have an ad that shows up and a pre-planned ad that shows up second in line and then third in line in order just to make it work, with the minimum of 2 on most campaigns to get things to work nowadays. With that said, okay, each thing that you follow up with that most people know that really know how to make money on Facebook, they're going to have that pre-planned ad that's going to show up after the first one, and then the ad that they know is going to show up, third in line and so forth, and that there aren't the same exact ad each time. They're not just showing that same thing again and again. Mainly because, just so that you know, the main reason why they're doing that is because when you come to an ad and show an ad for something that's for sale, people are going to scan past or swipe past it so easily. If you show something that just demonstrates the product, there's no pitch there, you're more likely to pay attention to it. People knew it was a pitch right away. So you actually, while their guard is down, drill into their heads what that product or service can do to benefit that user. Then, and only then, do they actually come with a direct pitch. The average person is going to say, why do I need 2 ads to sell to somebody? I'm just going to go right away to that person and try to sell them. And it doesn't work as well. People that really know how to make money with Facebook ads know this. So, and then with that, though, that's the main reason why they use 2 ads, if you will, that are different. But along with that, going back to the power of 7s in marketing, they're able to make more money from an audience that they know is likely to buy from them by having a second and a third ad in line than what they could do with 1 ad because of the added familiarity that they're going to have with that product, with that company. And this will keep going if you wanted to keep going with it. The really good marketers understand that what's really effective is a really good video demonstration that doesn't sell anything. Then you're going to have another video ad that shows an influencer using the product. Then you're going to have another video ad that's going to show another person who says that they just bought this product and they thought it was freaking amazing. Then they're going to see another ad, and they're going to have like 7 different ads. Ultimately, what that does for the user is they think it's like a hack. It's a user psychology hack. The reason why people think that when they see something or hear of something few times, it becomes instantly more believable is because back in the day, you had no centralized authorities to review things. What you used to trust certain things is just basically think back and ask yourself, has other people talked about this before? And the more you've heard it before, the more you're going to be able to trust it. Because if 5 guys in our village have used this product or service before, then it's got to work. And the more times they've seen it, the more trust they're going to put in it. That's really what you're doing when you got this power of 7s in marketing working for you. So that each ad that they see, actually, it's like filling up a glass. You need to get the glass to the top in order to get the necessary trust so that people will trust it enough to buy when they've never seen or heard of you before. And each ad actually takes them a bit closer to the top. 1 ad by itself isn't meant to sell. It can generate some sales, but it's the cumulative effect of all the ads working together that gets the main overall result that you're looking for, because each one's going to contribute to getting you a bit closer to the full trust from the user that you need in order for them to fully invest in what you have to sell. They see an influencer using it, then they see one of your customers using it, then they see another video with another customer using it. It makes, the old way that people always used to validate if something was trustable or not, the exact thing, the methodology people have always used to see if something was trustable or not. You literally could have, for a funnel, 7 different ads just showing different customers using your product. And that in itself would be a pretty effective funnel, which is, I don't recommend going there, but it would be darn effective, and it would be way more effective than just showing 1 customer using the product and that's it. Because they're going to think, oh wow, since I saw 7 people using it, it must be 7 million people are using it, because there's no way I just stumbled upon 7 different people using this product if 7 million people weren't using it. And that's ultimately what you're getting to. You're allowing the customer to draw their own conclusions there, which the master salespeople in the world are able to get people to draw their own conclusions that they themselves want to buy. They don't have to be told to buy. They assume it themselves. You lay stuff out in a certain way to allow people to draw their own conclusion that way. Anyway, with all that said, if you find an audience that's profitable for your business, you want to, of course, show your ads to multiple people, but just showing the same ad to the person 7 times isn't the way to try to get the most money out of an audience, particularly if you know you have more people you can market to, not just it's only these 1,000 people that can buy and that's it. Because you will typically get more money marketing to more people, but only showing each person the ad 2 or 3 times instead of 7. Unless you actually have 7 unique ads to show, then you will make more money showing 7 ads to a smaller audience. Do you get what I'm saying? So the power of 7s in marketing really works when you have a different approach for all 7 touches, not the same approach 7 times. And particularly if you want to take it to the max level, referencing what and tying together what they saw in the second approach to the first. Either directly by saying, hey, if you really liked what you saw before, this is really going to impress you, which is something that is hard to pull off and seeming genuine while you're doing it. Actually understanding that if they saw and they watched 50+% of a video testimonial that you had, they're likely to watch another video testimonial. That actually, because the format of what you're doing is the same, but it's different people reviewing your product, basically what they see is actually building upon what they saw before, and then you're getting that cumulative effect of filling up the glass and getting to the ultimate end point with that customer, which is they trust you enough in order to buy something. And then eventually you hit them with that offer, hey, we're running a flash sale this weekend only, you're going to get it 30% off, but only for this weekend. And you do that after they saw 7 different customer testimonials and whatnot there. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's best to keep your ad frequency with that under a 2. Frequency meaning the number of times someone saw an ad, under 2 for max profit. Not under 2 for the person at the person's level or person level, but 2 on the ad level. So that once you find a profitable audience, what you should ultimately be doing is find an ad that gets super high click-through rate and then making 6 other ads just like it, because you're going to make more money from that audience with 7 different ads to that same audience, assuming they similarly effective, then you're going to have 1 ad to that audience every single time, basically, if that makes sense. If you don't know exactly how to do this and want to know what kind of ads are going to work to build your own little funnel, 7 ad funnel like that, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. We've ran so many of these type of funnels before. We can suggest a funnel that you need to use, either tell you directly, or we can build it for you, and we guarantee results for our clients if we're going to agree to work on your stuff directly. And all you got to do is reach out to us, and I can have a conversation with you about the opportunity. We also sell ad templates. If we built a funnel to sell what you're trying to sell already, such as you're a mortgage broker is one industry that we did a funnel for, just right off the top to give you one random example. We could sell you the ad template series that we use to get results, and you could just buy that from us outright. These templates have been so popular, and with nobody else doing it, I keep bringing it up on this channel. And truly, if you're trying to manage your own ads, you don't like ad agencies, that's your best course to go, is to buy the template. Either if you can't steal your competitor's funnel, you buy it from an agency that's set one up for that before, versus trying to figure it out for yourself, because it's going to take so much time testing one creative over another creative and all that it doesn't make any, it would just be silly to go through all that when you can just buy the funnel from somebody else that already works. And it's hard to funnel hack on Facebook nowadays for the most part. The spy software isn't out there to easily find the ads and so forth. But anyway, if you're interested in any of those templates, we also sell those. Reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. We actually sell those templates for other industries that you may want to use to start a whole other business from. We got people who use the templates to just start an e-commerce business. They weren't even in e-commerce. They took the funnel that we had to sell a product that they can easily get from China, and they had a turnkey business. Ultimately, because the ads, the hardest part of setting up that business, which is to get an effective ad funnel working, they already had that figured out because they bought it from us, and we already ran it before in a different country or different geographic market, and you used it in another market, and so it was basically turnkey. We also sell these templates to people that want to start lead generation businesses, selling leads to businesses, using a template that we use to generate leads at a low cost. If you want to get into doing that, that's a really good passive income business if you're looking for one. Anyway, and then of course, if you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section. I can tell you what I would do for your industry. And I get back to everybody who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. To get back to the content at hand here, one thing that you should know about Facebook ads is the fundamentals are the higher the click-through rate on your ad, the lower the cost per click. What you need to be doing more than anything else to try to get Facebook ads to really be profitable and scalable and work for your business is to find ad creative that's going to get super high click-through rates, okay? Because if you do that, your cost per click goes so low that it makes it super easy to be able to make money. That, and once you find creative, you actually take what you learn and create a funnel out of it. Multiple ads that kind of tap into the same thing that people want, and then, because each subsequent ad, like I was talking about before, that they see, gets them a little bit closer to a purchase, and it's hard to make, as I mentioned before, money truly having them see one ad and just buy right away. Most campaigns that we run today, that are profitable. It's a whole series of ads that they had to see in conjunction with one another, spaced out, for the ads to actually get to sell something to that person and do it profitably. You're not going to get by with just one ad and that's it. So you got to know this, what I'm telling you here, if you expect to make money. And for the most part, as I mentioned many times on this channel already, the ads that are going to get the highest click-through rates are going to cost real money to set up. You can't just have a random video ad and expect it to get a 5% click-through rate, which will get you a 10 cents cost per click. Nobody gets that because nobody wants to invest real money in getting their ad set up. What really works is getting a news outlet to review your product or service and then using that video as your ad. Why? Because people pay attention to stuff that other authorities mention that is important and is serious. We'll sell a mailbox, get the mailbox mentioned on Fox News, then that is our ad, and that will have a 5% click-through rate because it was on Fox News, what have you. Then we'll have another ad that shows up afterwards. Particularly, we like to have a mix. You're going to try to do, the other type of ad other than that works the best on Facebook nowadays is user-generated content ads. So we're going to have ads that show a customer using the product and telling why they like it, and it doesn't look like an ad at all. And then they'll see it later, and so it's like, oh, I saw that ad on Fox News. Oh, I see it here again. Then later on, they're going to see another customer user-generated content style ad, and each one that they see will make it more likely that they're going to buy. And it's just a matter of if they had any possible chance of buying, once they see 7 people using that product and we're happy about it, it's going to get it. If it were possible to get them, it's going to get them. But with that said, user-generated content ads, news-based ads, that kind of thing, or mentioning that this product or service has been reviewed on a news website and then sending them to a landing page that looks like it's a news website and it's really your news website is the other main way to do things. Why? Because people don't trust ads. They just scroll past them anymore. You got to make something that looks like it's exciting and or trustworthy to look at. That's not a pitch. Use that initial interest and recollection of your product or service now, and then keep going with it. Most of the time, also having other content like that so that you aren't just asking them on the second approach, you're asking them on the 5th, 6th, or 7th approach like that if you want to really make things work in a niche or an industry. Sometimes we'll get by with a 2-ad sequence, like we'll have a video ad. For instance, we had a print company. If we wanted to sell brochure printing, what did we do? A lot of Facebook ads, by the way, if you want to make money, is about niching down. Instead of trying to market to everybody, find the 10 different customers that buy and then create a funnel for each 10 separately. We sold brochure printing services to people in a certain industry that needs brochures printed. So you can think of like a rodeo needs brochure printing every year. So we targeted the people that are at the rodeos with a video that shows other rodeos getting their brochures printed and how cool they look. Then following up with a secondary ad that has how to get your brochures printed through that company that they saw earlier and with the specific style that they saw earlier. That works because there's no other company who does that, and it's a pretty low trust offer. I mean, you could spend $100, $200 for a sample order and you're not risking a lot. If you want to sell a $2,000 product, that ain't going to be enough. You're going to have that full 7 email or 7 ad sequence. Anyway, that gives you an idea, but almost never are we going to, at least when we're talking about prospecting, running ads that are going to get in front of people who have never seen or heard of us before, it's going to take a funnel. We're not going to be able to just show one ad. Sometimes, like in the roofing space, we'll be able to run one ad and that's it and get it to work because we repackaged what we have and we generated a lead, but then the lead has to be worked, which creates technically other steps. For instance, for a roofer recently, we offered, the company had financing and we could offer roofing for $80 a month. Whereas the other roofing companies don't want to deal with people that don't have money. That's what we focused on more than anything. We found a sub-niche or a loophole or whatever you want to call it, and we just ran our ads saying, user-generated content. I got my roof replaced for $89 a month, whatever, and then we ran with that. Ultimately, that was specifically on the company's Facebook page. So user-generated content ad. The end of the ad said, technically, if you want to inquire about this, you can click the little link on the end of this video, which is a Facebook lead ad. and we generated leads that way. We also, by the way, for that, because the offer was so good, we also had ads that were made by an employee by the company, and that also worked pretty good for that. If you have a good enough offer, you don't necessarily need a user-generated ad or content ad or like a news ad like that in order to get people's attention and trust right away because the offer is so good. But anyway, with that said, we were able to, it was a one step, to give you an example where we were able to actually make that work, then taking that one step, putting it into an email sequence, but then having a salesperson contact them right away and see if they qualify for the $80 a month roof, whatever. So not always are we using a funnel, but particularly product, people don't really know. It's a newer style product. Like on a roof, people already know what a roof is. So really what you're gonna do there is just come up with an offer to get the roof at a special price with a special discount, or run a contest to see if they would be, eligible for a free roof or whatever, and then use those leads and then send them to a sales team, and then they go to town on them. But if you're selling a fancy new mailbox, then you need to have this more sophisticated funnel in order to get them sold on it, if you will. So that just kind of explains when you would take this power of sevens to make sure you can make money, because ultimately it takes a long time for a lot of you guys selling products to explain all the value of that product. You can't do that all in just one ad very effectively. You can do it by series of ads a lot better than you could just all in one ad. And even no matter how exciting it is, people also don't want to be the first person to buy something. They'd like to see 7 different people buying it before they're confident in buying it. So that's where the funnel really helps out as well. By the way, if you want to know more so like on Facebook ad strategy, this channel has, by the way, better information that you're going to find elsewhere on offer creation, funnel creation, that you're going to find elsewhere on YouTube and online, because I'm actually spending 40 hours a week doing ad testing at our firm to give you the information that's offered to you for free on this channel that we're using to guarantee results for our clients. Subscribe to this channel already, you should. Also, you should check out my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog. That blog has all the information about how to replicate these strategies that we know works for our clients at our firm as well, with screenshots, with everything you need to use them. If you haven't looked at that, you definitely should as well. People who like the channel typically like the blog. With that said, once you find, like I mentioned before, an ad that's going to get you a high click-through rate, which means you're going to get a super high amount of traffic to your site for the money that you're paying, then your immediate goal should be to take what you've learned, create more ads from it that are similar to it, either more customer testimonial style videos, UGC style videos, in other words, more news-based ads. So the best thing that, once you find an ad that worked well, where you show your product was reviewed on Fox News, which you can pay $20,000 to get featured on Fox News. It's not that hard. I talk about that in my other videos. You just type in news ad on my channel, on my homepage in the search bar. Learn all about that. But the best thing that, once you find a news ad, where you got featured on Fox News that works, get Fox, featured on 6 other different news stations, so you can have 6 in a row, and you'll end up, from that same audience, you'll make 3, 4, 5 times as much money from that audience than you would otherwise with just the one ad, because they trust it more and more the more of the different types of news stations they see that's covered it. But that's in general what you should do. Again, to sum this kind of up, if you sell something that people need, like a roof, you don't need necessarily to get too fancy with what you're doing. What you need is one good offer, probably, and then once you get them to reply, then you try to sell to them offline, or you put them into an email drip sequence, that kind of thing. The more complicated what you have is, or the lower the trust that's involved in your market, and like you're selling a supplement or something like that, which it's obviously hard to do on Facebook in the first place, the more the funnel is going to really come in. And you got to do some testing to see what's going to get response. But you should definitely be thinking, what is it that I can do to build the user's attention and trust up front, then ask to buy. Whether it's 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, what have you. And typically, you're going to make the most once you find, like if you find a 2-step funnel that works for you, you'll make more switching it to a 3-step. If you make money that way, you'll make even more switching it to a 4-step, and you should build that funnel out nice, big, and fat, or at least until ultimately it doesn't work anymore. We've had funnels that went over 7 ads before, 10 ads, 12 ads, because you just end up ultimately making more money the more steps that you add out of that audience. And generally speaking, you'll hit a roadblock with what you're doing on Facebook, like particularly when you're targeting lookalike audiences. You're not going to be able to scale very much. The main way you scale is you start adding more to the length of your funnel and you create more touches. You'll get more out of that audience every time. Yes, it's not cheap to create good ads, like I mentioned. I mean, really good ads, user-generated content style ads, which are not that expensive to create. You can easily hire an actor that looks like they reviewed your product and use that as a user-generated style content ad, which, by the way, that may seem sleazy, but that's what everybody's doing. Because if you get an actual customer to review your product, they're not going to review it right, and they're not going to have the right look. Of course, we like to have legitimate video testimonials and run ads for those. Grainy video, all that's fine, but in terms of actually describing the features and benefits of the product, a video testimonial ain't going to do what you needed to do, which is why legitimately make more hiring an actor with the script to serve as that user-generated ad than you will with a legitimate testimonial, enough to where, you know, it'll blow a random testimonial video out of the water. Because you need to lead in with something that's going to be structured, and then you have the video testimonials later on, by the way, which are its own piece to your funnel. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said Facebook ADs was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.